We all know that the world is coming to an end in 2024 because, well, that's what some people predict. But in 2025, it might go supernova. You heard that right. Astronomers believe that in 2025, one of the largest volcanic eruptions in history might occur. And today we will talk about if humans could survive such a disaster. But first, welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe to be among the first to watch our new videos. A supervolcano refers to a volcano that has had an eruption magnitude of 8 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI. This index was developed by a volcanologist, Chris Newhall, in 1988. It categorizes volcanic eruptions based on the volume of material ejected and the eruption duration. And according to this scale, the higher the number, the more violent the eruption. The largest recorded eruption on Earth was that of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines in 1991, which measured 6 on the VEI. But there are 7 known potentially supervolcanic events in Earth's past. These include the Oruanui eruption in New Zealand, Toba in Indonesia, Cerro Toco in Chile, Campi Flegrei in Italy, Lake Kivu in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Krakatoa in Indonesia, and Yellowstone in the United States. In order for an eruption to be considered super, it must meet 2 criteria. The volume of ash, gas, and rock must exceed 1,000 cubic kilometers, and the eruption must be of a magnitude 8 on the VEI. If these criteria are met, then an eruption can be classified as super. Volcanoes are given a threat score from 1 to 5 depending on the likelihood of them erupting and their proximity to human populations. For example, Mount Vesuvius in Italy, which destroyed the Roman city of Pompeii in 79 AD, has a threat score of 3. In contrast, the Yellowstone Supervolcano has a threat score of 1 because its last eruption occurred 640,000 years ago and it is located far from any major cities. Yellowstone National Park in the United States encompasses a large area of land. Within this park is a supervolcano. The supervolcano at Yellowstone is a magma chamber that is approximately 43 by 28 miles wide and 3 miles deep. Magma chambers are areas beneath the Earth's surface where molten rock or magma collects. The magma chamber at Yellowstone contains enough magma to fill up the Grand Canyon. There have been 3 major eruptions at Yellowstone in the past 2 million years, with the most recent occurring 640,000 years ago. Although the most recent eruption happened a long time ago, scientists still consider it to be active. This is because it is constantly producing seismic activity and releasing steam and gases. The United States Geological Survey monitors the volcano closely and has recorded over 3,000 earthquakes since 1985. The majority of these earthquakes are too weak to be felt, but some have been strong enough to shake buildings in western Wyoming and eastern Idaho. In 2018, a swarm of earthquakes shook the region around Yellowstone, leading to speculation that an eruption was imminent. However, scientists from the United States Geological Survey investigated and concluded that there were no signs of an impending eruption. They did, however, note that the increased seismic activity provided valuable data for their monitoring programs. But the question remains, could we survive a supervolcano eruption in 2025? Well, let's take a look at some of the previous eruptions and their effects on the planet. The most recent supereruption at Yellowstone occurred 640,000 years ago, when a series of explosions ejected over 2,400 cubic miles of ash, pumice, and rock into the atmosphere. This event was so powerful that it left a caldera 43 by 28 miles across and 1 mile deep. Today, Yellowstone National Park sits within the boundaries of this ancient caldera. The next supereruption at Yellowstone occurred approximately 1.3 million years ago, when a series of explosions ejected over 17,000 cubic miles of ash, pumice, and rock into the atmosphere. This event left a caldera that was roughly the same size as the one left by the most recent supereruption. The third and largest supereruption at Yellowstone occurred approximately 2 million years ago. During this eruption, an estimated 28,000 cubic miles of ash, pumice, and rock were ejected into the atmosphere. This eruption left a caldera that was roughly 50 by 40 miles across and 3 miles deep. This caldera is now known as the Henry's Fork caldera. So how would a super eruption at Yellowstone affect the environment, and could life as we know it continue? A super eruption at Yellowstone would have devastating consequences, not only for the surrounding area, but for the entire planet. The eruption column would emit large amounts of ash, gas, and aerosols into the atmosphere. This would block sunlight and cause global temperatures to plummet, leading to a volcanic winter. Additionally, the eruption would generate pyroclastic flows, lahars and floods which would destroy everything in their path. Although a super eruption at Yellowstone would be devastating, it is unlikely to wipe out all life on Earth as depicted in movies like 2012 and Pompeii. Life would be forever changed, though, and many species, including humans, would likely go extinct. But there is hope that humanity would survive and rebuild after such a catastrophic event. The impact of a super eruption would depend on several factors, including the height of the eruption column, the amount of ash and gas released, and the speed of the pyroclastic flows. Scientists estimate that a super eruption at Yellowstone would eject between 1,000 and 2,000 cubic miles of material. This would produce an eruption column that could reach 30 miles high and generate pyroclastic flows that travel up to 60 miles per hour. Lahars, or volcanic mudflows, would also occur and could travel up to 100 miles per hour. During a super eruption, the intense heat and pressure would cause the magma chamber beneath Yellowstone National Park to collapse, forming a massive crater. Pyroclastic flows consisting of hot gas and solid fragments would radiate outward from the crater, destroying everything in their path. Ash and fine particles would be thrown into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing global temperatures to plummet. Global temperatures could decrease by as much as 10 degrees Celsius or 18 degrees Fahrenheit. This would trigger a volcanic winter, resulting in widespread crop failure and food shortages. But it's not just the heat and debris that would affect life on Earth. A super eruption would also release large amounts of toxic gases into the atmosphere. These gases would include carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide. Carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide would react with water in the atmosphere to form sulfuric acid. This acid rain would fall over a large area, potentially killing off forests and crops. Hydrogen sulfide would form sulfuric acid in the upper atmosphere, which could deplete the ozone layer and allow more harmful UV radiation to reach the surface. A super eruption would also have devastating consequences for air and water quality. The fine ash and particulate matter released during the eruption would make it difficult to breathe and could lead to respiratory problems. Ash would also contaminate water sources, making it unsafe to drink. People living near Yellowstone would need to wear protective masks and goggles while outside and boil water before drinking it. Despite the devastation caused by a super eruption, life would eventually find a way to recover. Plants and animals that were able to survive the initial blast would begin to regrow, and the ecosystem would slowly return to normal. However, this recovery would take centuries or even millennia. The effects of a super eruption at Yellowstone would be felt worldwide, but those living closest to the volcano would suffer the most. The towns and cities within the blast radius would be completely destroyed, and the surrounding states would be buried in ash. The economic impact would be devastating, with the cost of cleanup and recovery exceeding hundreds of billions of dollars. Thousands of lives would be lost and millions more disrupted. However, a silver lining to this dark cloud is that scientists can monitor the volcano and accurately predict when it might erupt. This allows people to evacuate the surrounding area and reduces the risk of loss of life. So could we survive a supervolcano eruption in 2025? The answer is yes, but it would be touch and go. A super eruption at Yellowstone would cause widespread destruction and loss of life, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Humanity would need to start over from scratch, but we could do it. It's important to remember that although a super eruption would be devastating, it would also present an opportunity to rebuild and create a better world. We would learn from our mistakes and take steps to prevent another catastrophe. We would also appreciate the beauty of the natural world even more and cherish the time we have on this planet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Have a great day.